Part 1. The Power of Non-Attachment. When love is no longer about possession. Narration. What if the deepest form of love is not about holding on but letting go? What if the moment you stop trying to possess someone is the very moment your souls finally align? Today we'll talk about non-attachment, the quiet, paradoxical force that transforms love from a cage into liberation. Most of us were raised to believe that love must be proven through actions, words, constant presence, endless assurance. We learned that to love someone means to hold them close, to protect, to never lose them. But in that desire to hold, we forget that the tighter our grip, the more love slips away. Have you ever noticed how water runs through your fingers when you try to clutch it? The more you grasp, the less you have. That's how attachment works. Attachment disguises itself as care, but deep down it is fear. Fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear that if you let go, the love will disappear. But here's the spiritual truth. Real love cannot be lost. It doesn't vanish when someone walks away. It doesn't die when communication stops. It doesn't fade just because the physical connection ends. Because true love isn't bound by time, form, or even the person you think you're loving. It's the frequency that flows through you and through all of existence. Scene. A person standing on a bridge, looking at the horizon. Voice softens. When you love with attachment, you unconsciously say, I need you to be here for me to feel whole. I need your presence to validate my worth. But when you love without attachment, your energy shifts. You say, I see you as free. I love you as you are, even if you're not mine. That's the moment love stops being a contract and becomes a prayer. Let's pause here and ask, when was the last time you confused love with possession? Maybe you've said to yourself, if they truly loved me, they'd stay. If they really cared, they'd choose me. But those statements aren't love, they're negotiations born from fear. Love says, I want you to be happy even if it's not with me. Attachment says, I need you to make me happy, even if it hurts you. See the difference? Love gives wings. Attachment builds cages. So what is non-attachment really? It's not coldness. It's not emotional detachment. It's not pretending not to care. Non-attachment is the art of loving fully, deeply, and freely, without demanding a specific outcome. You still love. You still care. You still feel. But you no longer cling. You allow love to breathe. You allow space for both of you to grow, to change, to evolve. Because you understand, if something is meant to stay, it will stay. If it's meant to leave, it will return in a higher form, or it was never truly yours to begin with. Think of a flower. When you love it possessively, you pick it, and in doing so, you kill what made it beautiful. When you love it freely, you water it, you protect its soil, but you let it bloom in its own rhythm. You admire it not because it belongs to you, but because it exists. That's how love should feel. A silent appreciation. A sacred witnessing. You don't need to own the sun to feel its warmth. You don't need to hold the sky to know it's infinite. You just allow them to be, and in that allowing you are one with them. Transition. Soft instrumental pause. Narrator's tone becomes more intimate. When we cling to someone, we actually lose connection with ourselves. We start living in a state of energetic dependency. We need their text, their touch, their attention to regulate our emotions. But love was never meant to be dependency. It was meant to be a mirror, a reflection showing us where we are still unhealed. If someone's distance hurts you deeply, maybe it's not the absence of their love, but the absence of your own self-love that causes pain. Because when your inner cup is full, you no longer fear the silence. You no longer chase. You simply love and trust. Non-attachment is not giving up on love. It's giving love back its wings. It's saying, I love you enough to let you follow your path. I trust the universe enough to know that what's meant for me will never pass me by. It's knowing that love is not ownership. It's resonance. And resonance doesn't need to be forced. When two souls vibrate at the same frequency, they will always find their way back to each other. Even across lifetimes, even across worlds. So maybe your twin flame isn't gone. Maybe they're just walking their own circle of growth, one that will eventually meet yours again. But you might ask, how do I love without attachment? How can I let go without losing them? The answer is, you don't let go of the person. You let go of the expectation. You stop asking, when will they come back? Do they still think of me? Why haven't they changed yet? And instead you begin asking, what can I heal within me? How can I be loved, even without being loved back right now? That's where the true transformation begins. When you practice non-attachment, you learn to coexist with love and freedom in the same breath. You realize that love isn't about merging into one being. It's about two complete beings, standing side by side, reflecting infinite light into the world. Because the soul doesn't crave ownership, craves recognition. And once it's seen, once it's understood, once it's accepted, it doesn't need to be held. Just is. Non-attachment doesn't kill emotion, purifies it. It burns away the egoic layers, jealousy, fear, control, until only the essence remains. A quiet, luminous, unconditional love. That love doesn't demand presence to feel real. It doesn't fade in distance or time. Simply exists. The way starlight continues to shine long after the star itself has vanished from the sky. So if you're in separation right now with your twin flame, your lover, or even a friend you deeply care about, know this: the universe isn't asking you to stop loving them. It's asking you to love them in a higher way. To love them without clinging. To bless them without needing them to bless you back. To trust that even if paths diverge, souls never truly separate. Because in the grand design of love, every letting go is an act of faith. Every release creates space for something divine to return. Maybe not in the way you expect, but in the way your soul truly needs. So breathe. Let the feather go. And know, what's meant for you will always recognize your vibration. It will return. Not because you held on, but because you finally let go. Non-attachment is not losing love. It's learning to love like the universe does. Freely, endlessly, without fear. Narration. They look the same at first, letting go and giving up. Both mean release. Both involve loss. Both leave your hands empty for a while. But look closer. One is an act of fear. The other, an act of faith. You see, giving up happens when your heart is tired, when the pain of trying outweighs the hope of believing. It comes from exhaustion, from wounds that were never given time to heal. Giving up whispers, I've had enough. I'm done caring. And for a moment it feels powerful to turn away, to shut down, to harden your heart. But deep inside, the energy of giving up is heavy. It carries regret, resentment, unspoken sadness. It doesn't set you free, it builds a wall. A quiet fortress of self-protection that keeps both pain and love away. Letting go, however, is something else entirely. Letting go says, I still love, I still feel, but I no longer need to control how this unfolds. It's not an act of weakness, it's an act of surrender. It takes tremendous courage to let go while your heart is still open. Because when you let go, you're not closing your story. You're allowing life to write the next chapter for you. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving someone. It means you stop trying to make them fit into the story you imagined. In the journey of twin flames or any deep soul connection, this difference is everything. Giving up on your counterpart means abandoning your own mirror. It means denying the lessons, avoiding the growth, cutting off a piece of your own soul's evolution. Letting go, however, is sacred. It's the act of saying, I trust that what is meant for me will always return. I honor our connection, even from a distance. I release control, so that love can transform into something purer. It's not about separation, it's about transmutation. The alchemy of pain into power. The transformation of need into peace. Letting go is like releasing a bird from your hand. You don't throw it away, you free it. You trust that if it was meant to be with you, it will find its way back when it's ready. But here's the paradox. The bird often returns not because you called it, but because you finally stopped trying to own its wings. The same is true for love. When you release someone with grace, when you allow the energy between you to breathe, something shifts. The invisible cords of attachment begin to dissolve. And in their place, a higher frequency of connection emerges, one based not on possession but on recognition. That's when love transforms from human longing, divine resonance. But letting go is not easy. It will test every corner of your heart. It will make you face the silence that you've tried so hard to fill. It will make you question if love was even real in the first place. And yet, that's exactly why it's so powerful. Because when you stand in that emptiness and choose not to run, you begin to see that the emptiness is not punishment, it's purification. You are clearing the space within you for something greater, something aligned, something that matches your healed vibration. Have you ever watched a sunset knowing that the night will come, and yet you still stay watching, trusting that the sun will rise again tomorrow? That's what letting go feels like. You don't panic when darkness arrives. You understand that endings are not final, they are transitions. Giving up says, it's over. Letting go says, it's transforming. Many people confuse letting go with emotional numbness. They think it means forgetting, moving on, pretending it never mattered. But non-attachment isn't about erasing someone. It's about integrating what they awakened in you. You carry the lesson, not the weight. You keep the love, not the longing. You honor the memory without clinging to the form. And that's how your vibration rises. In spiritual terms, letting go is an energetic shift from resistance to allowance. It's the moment you stop fighting what is and open to what could be. It's saying to the universe, I am ready for alignment. I release my timeline, my expectations, my control. I trust in divine orchestration. When you do that, something miraculous happens. People who are meant for you begin to return in unexpected ways. Opportunities open. Your energy feels lighter. Your intuition sharpens. Because you are no longer swimming against the current. You are flowing with it. Letting go is not passive. It's an active act of faith. It's choosing peace over obsession. It's choosing trust over fear. When you let go, you don't stop showing love, you show it differently. You no longer send desperate energy of please come back. You send waves of gratitude instead. Thank you for showing me who I am. Thank you for awakening me. Thank you for teaching me love beyond conditions. Those vibrations are what heal the connection. Not words, not chases, not control. Because healing doesn't happen through holding on. It happens through allowing energy to reset itself. In the twin flame journey, this is the secret that shifts everything. When you stop chasing, the runner feels it. When you stop forcing, the universe starts aligning. When you stop clinging, the union begins, not outside of you but within. Because union isn't two bodies meeting. It's two souls vibrating at the same level of surrender. Letting go doesn't end the story. It begins the sacred rewrite, where love is no longer about mine and yours, but about we are reflections of the same divine energy. Maybe right now you're standing at the crossroad, one path called holding on, the other letting go. And your heart trembles, because one feels safe and the other feels like death. But remember, everything your soul truly loves, it never loses. What's meant for you doesn't disappear when you release it. Simply finds the vibration that can sustain it. So don't give up on love. Give up on fear. Give up on trying to force divine timing. Give up on the illusion that love must stay in a certain form to be real. And instead let go. Let go of the grip. Let go of the resistance. Let go of the story your mind keeps rewriting. Because only when your hands are empty can you finally receive what's meant to be held. Letting go isn't the end of love. It's love evolving, from attachment into awareness, from control into connection, from need into knowing. You don't stop loving them. You simply start loving yourself enough to let love be free. And in that freedom, love returns, not as possession but as presence. So the next time you're tempted to hold on, ask yourself, am I clinging out of fear, or loving out of faith? Because love in its highest form never demands, never begs, never binds. It only expands. And when you learn to let go without giving up, you become the very energy that everything true is drawn to. Letting go is not losing love. It's returning love to the universe. If this message resonates with your soul, take a deep breath and whisper, I release with love. Subscribe for more journeys of awakening, healing, and the sacred twin flame path. Your union begins when you finally stop chasing and start trusting. Part 3. What is love without possession? Narration. What does it really mean to love someone without possession? To love without needing to call them mine? It sounds beautiful, poetic even, but when you live it, it's the most radical transformation your heart will ever go through. Because to love without possession is to dissolve the illusion that someone else belongs to you. It's not indifference. It's awakening. Most of us, from the moment we first fall in love, are taught the language of ownership. My person. My soulmate. My forever. It's subtle but powerful. In saying mine, we attach our identity to another being. We begin to weave our worth through their attention, our happiness through their choices, our peace through their presence. And so when they pull away, our entire world begins to crumble. Not because they left, but because we had built our world around them. Love without possession says, I see you, I cherish you, but I do not own your flight. It is the recognition that love is not a cage to keep someone close. It's the wind beneath their wings. You can love someone deeply and still allow them to walk their path, make their mistakes, and grow through their own lessons. You can love them without demanding their constancy, because you understand that love in its purest form is not measured by permanence, but by presence. When you love without possession, you stop asking, how long will they stay? And instead you whisper, how deeply can I love them in this moment? You stop holding your breath, waiting for the next message, the next call, the next promise. You simply exist with what is, knowing that love doesn't need to be defined to be real. Because the moment you try to own love, it begins to die. But when you let it breathe, it expands beyond the boundaries of form. It becomes a living prayer, a current that flows through everything. Loving without possession requires immense inner strength, because it means trusting in the unseen. It means knowing that even if someone walks away, the love you shared doesn't vanish. It transforms. It returns to the universe as light, as wisdom, as energy that will guide you forward. Means saying, even if you're no longer by my side, I bless you on your path, because I love the soul within you, not the role you played in my story. That's the kind of love that transcends lifetimes. That's divine love. But let's be honest, this kind of love challenges the ego at its core. The ego wants control. It wants certainty. It wants labels, guarantees, definitions. The ego says, if you love me, you must choose me. If you care, you must stay. If you leave, it means you never did. But the soul whispers a different truth. If you love me, you are free. If you care, I can feel it beyond distance. If you leave, I trust it's part of our evolution. The ego measures love by proximity. The soul measures love by expansion. Love without possession is not about detaching from feeling. It's about detaching from control. You can still miss someone deeply but not suffer. You can still want someone but not cling. You can still hold memories, but not anchor your worth to them. You don't numb your emotions, you transmute them. You channel longing into creation. You turn heartbreak into compassion. You turn separation into self-discovery. That's the power of consciousness in love. When you stop possessing, you start perceiving. You begin to see your beloved not as someone who completes you, but as someone who mirrors you. Their joy reflects your own potential for joy. Their distance reflects where you still hold fear. Their silence reflects your need for validation. Love without possession is love with awareness. It says, I honor the divine in you, but I no longer make you responsible for my peace. In the twin flame journey, this lesson is central, because twin souls often mirror attachment wounds from lifetimes before. They come together to awaken unconditional love, not conditional ownership. When you stop trying to claim your twin flame, you begin to merge energetically in a way the ego could never understand. You stop needing constant reassurance because you feel the connection within. You stop chasing because you realize the one you've been chasing is yourself. That's the paradox of twin flame love. When you let them go, you actually draw them closer, not physically but vibrationally. You become aligned with love itself, not the idea of love. But this doesn't mean you don't feel. You still cry. You still ache. You still look at the sky and whisper their name some nights. The difference is now you do it with peace. Because you're no longer begging the universe to give them back. You're simply honoring the energy that once intertwined with yours. And that vibration, gratitude, not grasping, is what magnetizes everything good back into your life. So what does this kind of love look like in everyday life? It looks like supporting their dreams even if it means they walk a path without you. It looks like forgiving their absence, because you understand that each soul grows in divine timing. It looks like remembering them with tenderness, not resentment. It looks like this simple prayer. May you find peace even if it's not with me. May your heart open, even if I'm not there to see it. And may our souls recognize each other again, in this life or another. That prayer is what true love sounds like. When you love without possession, your energy stops pulling and starts radiating. You become magnetic not through desire, but through serenity. You attract not what you want but what resonates with who you've become. People, experiences, and even your twin flame begin to mirror back the peace you've cultivated within. Because love that is free always finds its way home. Let this sink in deeply. You do not own love. You are love. When you stop trying to control who receives it, how long it lasts, or where it goes, you become the embodiment of unconditional energy. And in that vibration, you stop asking for love, because you realize it was never something to get. It was something to be. Loving without possession doesn't mean you won't meet again. It means that when you do, it will be from a higher place. A place where you no longer need each other to fill emptiness, but where you choose each other from wholeness. That's divine union. That's what the universe was guiding you toward all along. So breathe. Let your love expand beyond labels, timelines, expectations. Let it spill into the world, into your art, your kindness, your healing. Because love without possession is not smaller. It's infinite. It doesn't shrink into mine. It expands into everything. When you love like that, you are no longer chasing someone, you are walking with the universe itself. Every beat of your heart becomes a reminder. You are love. You are free. And love, real love, was never meant to be owned, only shared. Voiceover final line. To love without possession is to touch eternity and finally realize love was never between two people. It was always the light flowing through them. If this message touched your soul, pause for a moment. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, I release, I trust, I love freely. Subscribe for more reflections on twin flames, inner healing, and the journey back to unconditional love. Because your union, the true one, begins within. Part 4. Practicing the energy of giving without demanding. Narration. There's a kind of love that gives not to receive, not to impress, not to secure a promise, but simply because giving feels natural. It's the love that asks for nothing in return. The love that says, I give because love flows through me, not because I want something back. This is the energy of giving without demanding, and it is one of the most powerful frequencies you can embody, especially on your twin flame journey. For most of us, love has been transactional. We've been conditioned to believe that love should be balanced like a scale. I give you this, you give me that. I show affection, you show commitment. I open up, you respond. But love doesn't work that way. Because real love isn't a trade. It's not an agreement. It's a current. And when you try to control where that current flows, you interrupt the natural rhythm of the universe. Love, like water, finds its own way. It doesn't demand permission to flow. It doesn't say, you owe me for this. It simply nourishes everything it touches. To give without demanding means becoming like that river. Free, abundant, generous, and unafraid of running dry. Because when you truly give from the heart, you are not depleting. You are expanding. But why is this so hard for most people? Because the human mind confuses giving with losing. It believes that if you give too much, you'll be taken advantage of. It fears that love, once offered freely, will be exploited. But that fear only exists when your giving comes from emptiness. When you give hoping to get, you give from a place of lack. But when you give because you are love itself, you give from abundance. And that energy always returns multiplied. The universe operates by energy, not emotion. When you give with fear, it sends you more fear. When you give with lack, it sends you more scarcity. But when you give with faith, with a full heart, the entire cosmos opens to meet you. Because giving without demanding is the purest act of trust. You trust that love is infinite. You trust that what you share will always find its way back to you. Maybe not through the same person, but through life itself. In the twin flame dynamic, this practice is crucial. Many of us unconsciously give to our twin flame so they will love us back. We give energy, attention, healing, devotion, and secretly we wait for them to mirror it. We wait for validation, for reciprocity. But that expectation binds the energy. It blocks the flow of divine love. Because the twin flame connection is not about equal transactions, it's about energetic evolution. When you give without demanding, you're not telling the universe, "Look how much I've done, now give me my reward." You're saying, "I trust love enough to keep giving even when I cannot see the return." That's the vibration of unconditional love, and it's the only vibration that truly heals separation. So how do you practice this kind of giving? Start by shifting your intention. Ask yourself, am I giving because I want them to change, or because I want to embody love? Am I sharing because I need a response, or because it feels true to my soul? Then before you act, pause, take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and whisper, "I give because it is who I am." When you move from that state, every action, a message, a smile, a prayer becomes sacred. Sunflowers don't demand sunlight, they turn toward it naturally. They receive what's given, and in doing so they reflect that same light back into the world. You are the same. When you give freely, you become a mirror for divine abundance. You remind others and yourself that love was never meant to be controlled. Because the truth is, when you give without demanding, you are not giving away energy. You are circulating it. You are aligning with the cosmic law of flow. What you send with purity returns with grace. Giving without demanding doesn't mean becoming a martyr. It doesn't mean tolerating disrespect or losing boundaries. It means giving from a place of choice, not compulsion. It means choosing love, even when ego wants proof. It means knowing when your energy is sacred, and offering it only when it aligns with peace. Because unconditional love doesn't come from exhaustion. It comes from overflow. You cannot pour from an empty cup. But when your cup is full, when you are centered, grounded, connected, your love overflows naturally. And in that overflow, you discover that you never run out. Try this practice. Every morning, before you begin your day, ask, "How can I give today without expectation?" Then listen. Maybe it's giving kindness to a stranger. Maybe it's giving forgiveness to someone who hurt you. Maybe it's giving gratitude to your past self, the version who survived long enough to love again. The universe will show you opportunities to give, not as tests but as gateways to expansion. And as you give, you'll notice something beautiful happening. You stop measuring love. You stop waiting for results. You start feeling the quiet satisfaction of being aligned with divine flow. That's when miracles begin to unfold. Every act of giving sends ripples through the energetic field of the universe. It doesn't matter how small it seems. A thought, a word, a silent blessing. When done with genuine intention, that energy multiplies. It circles back to you in unexpected ways. A message, a smile from a stranger, a sudden moment of peace. And over time you realize, the point was never to receive from one person. The point was to awaken your own capacity to give endlessly. In the twin flame path, this kind of giving is what balances the energies. When one counterpart stops giving from fear and begins giving from trust, the entire connection recalibrates. The runner feels it. The chaser softens. The dynamic shifts from tension to harmony. Because the soul recognizes the frequency of true love. It feels safe to return when there is no demand attached. That is the secret of union. It doesn't come from force. It comes from surrender. So practice this every day. Give without needing to be seen. Give without needing to be chosen. Give without asking, "What do I get?" Because when you do, your energy becomes radiant, magnetic, untouchable. You stop vibrating at the frequency of lack and start embodying abundance. You become love itself, and love by its nature attracts everything it needs. To give without demanding is to trust that love has its own intelligence. It knows where to go. It knows how to return. It knows when to transform. Your only task is to let it move through you. Freely, fearlessly, infinitely. Because when you give without asking, you become the channel through which the universe loves itself. And that's when miracles happen. Not because you tried harder, but because you finally let Love flow without conditions. If this message resonated with your soul, take a moment to reflect. Where in your life can you give more freely today, without fear, without demand? Write it down. Live it. And remember, when you give from your overflow, the universe overflows for you. Subscribe for the next chapter. When you surrender, the energy of union begins. Your journey isn't about chasing love, it's about becoming it. Part 5. When you surrender, the energy of union begins. Narration. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when you've tried everything. You've prayed, waited, chased, cried, and questioned. You've fought against the silence, begged for answers, resisted the unknown. And then something inside you breaks. Not in despair but in awakening. That's when surrender begins. Surrender is not about giving up. It's not about losing faith. It's not even about moving on. Surrender is the moment you stop wrestling with what is. It's the sacred pause when you realize love was never meant to be forced into form, because union doesn't happen through control. It happens through alignment. In the twin flame path, surrender is the bridge between separation and union. For as long as you chase, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, you vibrate in lack. You send out a frequency that says, something is missing. And the universe, which always reflects your vibration, answers back, yes, something is missing. But when you surrender, when you stop chasing, stop waiting, stop trying to make things happen, you shift frequencies entirely. You move from lack to trust, from wanting to being, from searching for love to becoming love. That's when everything starts to change. Let's be clear. Surrender is not easy. Feels like dying because in a way it is. It's the death of the ego's control. The death of the illusion that you can predict or manipulate divine timing. The death of the fantasy that love must unfold the way your mind demands it to. Surrender feels like falling apart. But in truth, it's the moment your soul finally comes together. When you surrender, your energy softens. Your heart no longer grasps. Your thoughts no longer spiral. Your body no longer vibrates with fear or impatience. Instead, a calmness begins to rise. A quiet knowing that says, I may not see the path ahead, but I know I am guided. That's surrender. It's not a thought. It's a vibration. A sacred exhale into the unknown. So how does surrender lead to union? Because surrender aligns you with divine energy. And divine energy is what orchestrates union. You see, the universe cannot deliver harmony to a mind that is still fighting with reality. Union is not created by force. It's revealed through flow. When you release the need to make it happen, you become the still point where everything falls into place. The energy between you and your twin flame begins to stabilize. The push-pull dynamic fades. Communication shifts from tension to synchronicity. You start feeling each other's emotions not as anxiety, but as presence. And in that space of surrender, both souls begin to heal simultaneously. Even if you are not in contact, surrender opens the door to unconditional love. Because you no longer love for a result. You love because it's your nature. You love because that's who you are. You stop loving with fear and start loving with faith. You stop loving to hold and start loving to free. And when you do, you embody the divine feminine and masculine energies in their highest expression. The feminine trusts the flow. The masculine rests in stillness. Together within you they unite. That's when inner union begins. The vibrational foundation upon which outer union is built. When people hear the word union, they often think of reunion. Two people coming back together holding hands, saying we made it. But true union happens long before that moment. It happens when you make peace with the separation. When you no longer need them to complete your story. When you can bless their absence without bitterness. And see yourself not as half of a whole, but as wholeness itself. That's union. Not with another but with the universe. When you reach this state, something mystical happens. You begin to feel your twin flame's energy merge with yours. Not as obsession, not as longing but as peace. Their essence becomes part of your inner stillness. You no longer chase the connection, you are the connection. And paradoxically, it is in that space of complete detachment that the energy of union activates. Because your souls can finally meet in freedom, not fear. In wholeness, not dependency. In truth, not illusion. This is the point where you begin to understand the hidden meaning behind every stage of separation. You realize they weren't running away from you. They were running toward their own healing. Just as you were being guided to yours. You see that every silence was sacred, every delay divine, because both of you were being prepared, not to reunite in attachment but to reunite in consciousness. Surrender transforms your vibration from, "Why aren't they here yet?" to "I trust that everything unfolds when it's meant to." It changes your language from, "When will they return?" to "What is life trying to teach me through this?" And slowly, you begin to see your twin flame not as the destination, but as the reflection of your awakening. Every time you choose faith over fear, every time you choose peace over panic, every time you choose love over longing, you align closer to union. Surrender is not the end of the story. It's the transformation of it. Because when you finally stop trying to fix the connection, you make space for the divine to move through it. You no longer block the energy with worry or control. You open the channel, and love begins to flow again, stronger, purer, freer. And when that happens, your twin flame feels it. Not through words but through vibration. They feel the release, the peace, the unconditional love radiating from your soul. That's what draws them back. Not pressure, not need, but resonance. Union isn't something you chase, something you allow. And here's the truth that so many miss. Surrender is not the end of longing. It's the transformation of it. Your love doesn't fade, it refines. It becomes less about me and you, and more about we are one in the light of all things. You start to see your twin flame everywhere. In the laughter of strangers, in the sunrise, in the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Because love is no longer something you wait for. It's something you live as. That's the frequency of union. That's the vibration that calls your counterpart home. Not just physically, but energetically, spiritually, completely. Voiceover, gentle, grounded. Surrender doesn't mean letting go of love. It means letting go of resistance. When you release your grip, you make space for miracles. When you stop controlling, you allow divine timing to unfold. When you surrender, you say to the universe, "I trust your plan more than my fear." And in that trust, union begins. Not someday, not later, but now. Within you. So if you're standing on the edge of surrender, trembling between hope and fear, know this, you are not losing your twin flame. You are returning to your true self. And when you become one with your own soul, nothing and no one can ever truly be separate from you again. If this message resonated with your heart, take a deep breath. Place your hand over your chest and whisper, "I surrender. I trust. I am whole." Union is not about finding them. It's about becoming you. Subscribe and stay for the next chapter. Integrating past life wisdom to heal the present. Because every time you surrender to love, you awaken another lifetime's worth of peace. Part 6. Integrating past life wisdom to heal the present. Narration. Sometimes the pain you feel in this lifetime isn't born from this lifetime. It's a memory your soul still carries. A residue of unfinished stories. Echoes of love once found, and love once lost. Every emotion, every heartbreak, every sudden recognition you feel toward someone. It all has roots deeper than you can remember. This is the mystery of past life wisdom. And when you learn to integrate it, you don't just heal your past, you set your present free. Most people think of time as linear, a straight line from birth to death. But the soul doesn't experience time that way. To the soul, all lives are happening simultaneously, like chapters of the same book being read in different rooms of the same house. So when you meet someone and feel an instant, almost electric familiarity, when your heart recognizes before your mind understands, it's not coincidence. It's remembrance. A meeting written before this lifetime even began. You've lived thousands of stories. You've worn different names, bodies, cultures, and faces. But your essence, your consciousness has remained unchanged. And in each lifetime, you've gathered wisdom, love, lessons, and wounds. Some of those wounds remain unhealed, and they become the blueprint for the challenges you face now. That's why certain people trigger you so deeply. Why some fears feel ancient. Why certain patterns keep repeating even when you think you've grown past them. You're not broken. You're remembering. Past life memories don't always appear as visions or dreams. Sometimes they show up as emotions without explanation. A longing that makes no sense. A fear that feels irrational. A love that feels eternal, even when it's only just begun. That's your soul whispering. Look here. There's something to understand. Something to release. Integration begins when you stop rejecting these feelings and start listening to them. Ask yourself, why does this person make me feel so intensely? Why does this pattern repeat in every relationship? What lesson keeps returning until I finally embrace it? When you ask these questions with honesty, not blame, not fear, you start to decode the karmic map your soul has drawn for this lifetime. You begin to realize the people who trigger you the most are often the same souls who helped you grow the most before. And your twin flame, the one who awakens both your love and your pain, is often the mirror that brings every past life wound to the surface, so it can finally be healed. Twin flames don't just meet in one life. They travel through time together. Sometimes as lovers, sometimes as siblings, sometimes as teacher and student, but always as catalysts. Their purpose is not only reunion, it's evolution. Each lifetime refines the energy, dissolves karma, and deepens understanding. And in this lifetime yours, the mission is often healing the final layer. Learning how to love without attachment. How to hold space without fear. How to remember without clinging. That's how you complete the soul cycle. So how do you integrate past life wisdom into the present moment? First, through awareness. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. Notice your emotional patterns. Notice what drains you, what repeats, what ignites. The soul speaks through repetition. It will keep showing you the same lesson until you choose to learn differently. Second, through forgiveness. Not just toward others, but toward yourself. Maybe you betrayed someone in a past life. Maybe you were betrayed. Maybe you lived in guilt or fear or silence. You don't need to relive the story to heal it. You only need to release the energy. Whisper to your heart, I forgive myself for all the roles I have played. I forgive others for all the lessons they carried to me. I choose peace now. That's how you dissolve karma, not through revenge or regret, but through compassion. The third step is embodiment. Past life wisdom isn't meant to stay as memory. It's meant to become practice. If you learned courage in one lifetime, live it now. If you learned patience, embody it now. If you learned unconditional love, this is the lifetime to express it. Integration means merging what your soul knows with how your human self lives. It's walking with ancient wisdom in modern skin. It's remembering you are infinite, even as you live inside time. The final step is trust. Trust the journey your soul has designed. Every delay, every heartbreak, every detour. None of it is punishment. It's choreography. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are right where centuries of evolution have guided you to be. So when something feels painfully familiar, instead of saying, why is this happening again? Ask, what wisdom from before am I meant to use now? And then listen, because the answer will always rise from within you. Not as words, but as peace. When you integrate your past life wisdom, you start to experience the present differently. You no longer react to pain with panic, you meet it with understanding. You no longer chase people, you recognize them. You no longer fear endings, you honor them as transitions. You see patterns not as punishment but as pathways. And every time you choose love over fear, you heal not just this moment but every lifetime that came before. That's why so many twin flame reunions feel overwhelming. Because they are not first meetings, they are soul recognitions. They stir up centuries of memories, lessons, promises. All the unspoken goodbyes, all the unfinished stories, they surface. But that's not chaos. That's healing. You are not starting over, you are continuing. Every soul contract, every heartbreak, every moment of divine timing. It's all converging into this lifetime, this moment. This awakening, when you stop seeing your pain as punishment and start seeing it as remembrance, you begin to live differently. You begin to love differently. You stop asking, why me? And start whispering, thank you for showing me what's ready to heal. That's the energy of mastery, the shift from victim to creator, from seeker to seer. From wounded soul to awakened one. Integration means carrying your ancient soul into your modern life with gentleness. It means you can be spiritual and human at once, wise and still learning, infinite and still tender. It means your story doesn't end here. It's just another chapter in an endless love story between your soul and the divine. So the next time you feel an unexplained sadness, a sudden pull toward someone, a fear that feels older than you, pause. Instead of trying to erase it, place your hand over your heart and say, I remember. I release. I am ready to heal. And in that moment, you are not just healing yourself. You are healing generations, timelines, and dimensions of love. Because the soul never forgets. It only waits for you to remember who you've always been. When you integrate your past lives, you stop chasing closure. Because you realize your soul was never broken. It was always becoming whole. If this message touched your heart, pause and breathe. Say to yourself, I am the wisdom of all my lives. I heal in love. Subscribe for the next chapter. Releasing old energy, the art of spiritual purification. Because only when the past is integrated, can the future unfold in light. Part 7. Releasing old energy, the art of spiritual purification. Narration. There's a moment in every awakening when you realize your pain isn't just emotional. It's energetic. You can feel it sitting in your body, heavy, dense, unmoving. It's the ache behind your chest when you think of the past. The tightness in your stomach when you remember their name. The exhaustion that no sleep can fix. This isn't weakness. It's residue. The leftover energy of all the emotions, thoughts, and attachments that your soul has outgrown. And now, your spirit is asking you to purify. Purification is not about forgetting. It's not about denying the past or pretending you never cared. It's about releasing what no longer serves your vibration. Because energy, just like water, needs to flow. When it stagnates, it becomes pain. When it's suppressed, it becomes illness. When it's denied, it becomes patterns. But when you release it, consciously, it transforms. It becomes light again. That's the art of spiritual purification. Scene. A woman sits beside a river. She places a small stone into the water and watches it disappear. Beneath the ripples, purification begins with awareness. You can't cleanse what you refuse to see. Ask yourself gently, what am I still holding on to? What memory do I keep replaying? What emotion feels stuck inside my body? Don't judge your answers. Just observe. Because the moment you acknowledge an energy, it begins to shift. Awareness is the first wave of cleansing. We carry old energy in many forms: emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual. Emotional energy lingers as grief, guilt, resentment, or longing. It's the echo of moments you couldn't fully process. The tears you swallowed, the words you never said. Mental energy is the endless replay of what-ifs. It's the loop of overthinking that traps you in timelines that no longer exist. Physical energy lives in the body, in your breath, posture, and heartbeat. When you suppress emotions, your body holds them like old memories. And spiritual energy is the most subtle, the energetic cords that connect you to people, places, and versions of yourself that you've already transcended. To purify, you must learn to release on every level. Start with the body. Your body is your temple, your first altar. If your energy feels heavy, move. Walk, dance, stretch, breathe. Let the body express what the heart cannot say. The body holds truth, and when you give it permission to release through breath, tears, or motion, you begin to create space for new light to enter. Then move to the emotions. Emotions are energy in motion, but when you resist them, they stop moving. So instead of running from your sadness, sit with it. Instead of fighting your anger, breathe through it. Instead of suppressing your longing, honor it. Ask your emotion, what are you here to show me? And when it answers, thank it. And let it go. You'll notice, once an emotion is fully felt, it no longer controls you. Passes like a storm that was only ever waiting for your permission to reign. Then there is mental purification. Your mind is a garden. Every thought you think plants a seed, and some of those seeds have grown into forests of fear. To purify the mind is to weed the garden. It's to become aware of the thoughts that drain your energy and replace them with ones that restore it. When the mind starts whispering, They'll never come back. You're not enough. You'll always be alone. Pause, breathe, and say, I release this story. I choose peace instead. Over time, this practice rewires your vibration, because your thoughts don't just describe your reality, they create it. The last and perhaps deepest form of purification is spiritual release. We create energetic cords with everyone we connect with deeply, especially with our twin flame. These cords are not inherently bad. They are channels of love, memory, and shared growth. But when they become entangled with fear, obsession, or attachment, they begin to drain instead of nourish. Cutting cords doesn't mean cutting love. It means removing energy that doesn't belong to this moment. Imagine a stream of light between you and that person. See the parts that are filled with fear, expectation, or pain. And with compassion say, I release what is not pure love. I keep what is divine truth. That's spiritual purification, not destruction but refinement. When you purify, you begin to feel lighter, not because life is easier, but because your soul is clearer. The things that once triggered you lose their power. The memories that once broke you now feel distant, softened by understanding. You start to respond instead of react. You start to breathe deeper, walk slower, smile easier. That's what freedom feels like. Not the absence of emotion, but the presence of peace. Remember, purification is not a one-time event. It's a rhythm, a sacred maintenance of your energetic hygiene. Just as you bathe your body daily, you must also cleanse your energy regularly. Take salt baths, burn sage or Palo Santo, write letters you never send, cry when you need to, meditate under the moon, speak affirmations into your water before you drink it. Each act becomes a ritual of renewal, a reminder that you are both human and divine, and your energy deserves care. In the twin flame journey, purification is especially important because the connection acts like a mirror, magnifying everything you still carry. You cannot unite from fear. You cannot attract from pain. You cannot embody divine love while clinging to the old energy of loss. Every time you purify, you raise your frequency. You move closer to the vibration of union, not through chasing, but through cleansing, because the cleaner your energy becomes, the more easily love can recognize you. So ask yourself now, what am I ready to release? What story am I done telling? What energy do I no longer wish to carry into my future? And then with courage, breathe it out. Exhale the pain, the memories, the names, the doubts. Let them dissolve back into the earth, back into light, back into neutrality, because your spirit cannot rise while it's carrying stones. Purification is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. It's the sacred pause between lifetimes, the silence before the song. When you release old energy, you are not losing anything real. You are clearing the space for something true to enter. Love cannot live in a heart still filled with old ghosts. So let them go gently. Thank them for the lessons. And close the door with peace. Because the energy you release becomes the freedom you gain. Voiceover closing words. Spiritual purification is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming light enough to remember who you are. So release. Let the current carry away your past. Trust that what is meant to remain will always find its way back to you. Cleaner, higher, and truer. Because every time you let go, you rise. If this message spoke to your soul, take a deep breath now. Whisper, I cleanse, I release, I am reborn. Subscribe and stay for the next chapter. The magnetic law of vibration. How energy aligns you with your twin flame. Because once your energy is pure, the universe can finally bring you what was always yours. Part 8. The magnetic law of vibration. How energy aligns you with your twin flame. Narration. Everything in this universe, from the stars above to the pulse within your chest, is vibration. Everything you see, touch, love, or fear is made of energy in motion. And energy doesn't lie. It doesn't respond to words or promises or even desire. It responds to frequency. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. This is the law of vibration. The invisible force that shapes every connection, every experience, every moment of your twin flame journey. Think of yourself as an instrument. Your emotions, Thoughts and beliefs are the strings. Every time you think, feel, or act, you create sound vibration that ripples through the field of existence. The universe is not listening to what you say. It's listening to what you vibrate. So if you say, I want love, but your vibration is fear, the universe will echo fear. If you say, I'm ready for union, but your vibration is doubt, the universe will mirror separation. But when you begin to vibrate love, not through effort but through being, everything aligned with love starts to find its way toward you, like metal drawn to a magnet, like light returning to its source. This is resonance, the purest expression of attraction in the universe. When two frequencies match, they don't chase each other. They harmonize. That's how alignment with your twin flame happens. Not through force, not through longing, but through resonance. When your energy stabilizes into unconditional love, your twin flame, wherever they are, feels it. Not consciously perhaps, but energetically. And slowly, they begin to vibrate in harmony with you. That's the magnetism of soul alignment. Transcends distance, time, and logic. So the question becomes, how do you raise your vibration to align with your twin flame? It begins within you. Because your vibration isn't created by what happens around you. It's shaped by what happens inside you. Every thought you think, every emotion you hold, every belief you choose, is either anchoring you to fear or elevating you to love. There are three core frequencies that align you with union, peace, gratitude, and love. Peace is your grounding. When you're at peace, you're not chasing or forcing. You trust divine timing. You stop trying to control what cannot be controlled. You move from resistance to flow, and in that flow, life rearranges itself beautifully. Gratitude is your amplifier. When you focus on what you already have, the lessons, the growth, the love that already surrounds you, you send a signal to the universe that says, I am abundant. And abundance attracts more abundance. Love is your frequency of alignment. Not romantic love. Not attachment, but pure love, the energy that simply is. When you vibrate in love, you stop searching for it. Because you realize you are it. And that's when the magnetic field of your energy becomes unstoppable. You can feel it, can't you? When someone walks into a room and their energy feels calm, open, warm, you're drawn to them. That's not charm. That's vibration. And when someone walks in with fear, bitterness, or resentment, you feel it too. That's vibration as well. Energy speaks before words ever do. So if you want your twin flame or any soul connection to come closer, don't speak louder. Vibrate higher. This synchronization happens not through chasing, but through embodying. When you embody love, even in solitude, you become a beacon. You send out a call that says, I am whole. And the universe in perfect resonance answers, so be it. Your twin flame feels it in their own frequency. They may not know why, but suddenly they start healing, changing, awakening. That's the invisible dance of energy, the pull of divine vibration. But remember, vibration isn't about pretending. It's not about faking positivity or suppressing your pain. You can't ascend by ignoring your shadow. You ascend by integrating it. Healing your vibration means loving the parts of you that still hurt, holding compassion for the parts that are still afraid. Because vibration isn't about perfection, it's about authenticity. The most magnetic energy in the world is truth. When you stand in your truth, fully, honestly, unapologetically, you radiate a frequency that no mask can replicate. And that truth calls your twin flame home. Vibration creates harmony, and harmony creates alignment. When your energy field vibrates in coherence, mind, heart, and soul moving as one, you become like the birds in flight. Effortless, guided, connected to something larger than yourself. That's when you start noticing synchronicities everywhere. Numbers, songs, dreams, moments that defy logic. That's not coincidence. That's the universe responding to your new frequency. Each sign is a reflection of the alignment you've achieved. To align with your twin flame through the law of vibration, you must stop seeking connection outside yourself and start cultivating it within. Meditate. Speak loving words to yourself. Feed your body with energy that feels alive. Surround yourself with beauty, music, nature, and stillness. Every act of love toward yourself refines your frequency. Every act of gratitude strengthens your signal. Every act of peace invites the universe to meet you halfway. Because your twin flame is not separate from your energy. They are a mirror of it. When you rise, they rise. When you heal, they heal. When you love yourself unconditionally, they finally feel safe enough to love you the same way. That's not magic. That's magnetism. The law of vibration teaches us that alignment is not about effort. It's about frequency. It's about returning to your natural state of being. Before fear, before separation, before ego. And your natural state is love. When you vibrate love, you stop chasing union. Because you realize it's already happening. You feel it in your breath, in your silence, in the way the world responds to your peace. Union isn't a destination. It's a vibration you live in. Voiceover, gentle, peaceful. You are not trying to attract your twin flame. You are remembering the frequency where you and they already exist as one. When your heart beats in harmony with the universe, everything meant for you aligns effortlessly. Because energy doesn't chase. It resonates. And when your vibration becomes pure love, the universe and your twin flame cannot help but find you. If this message resonated with your soul, pause for a moment. Close your eyes. Feel your heartbeat and whisper, I am vibration. I am love. I am aligned. Subscribe and stay for the next chapter. Union energy, the merging of souls and the birth of divine purpose. Because when vibration turns into harmony, your union doesn't just heal you. It begins to heal the world. Part 9. Union energy. The merging of souls and the birth of divine purpose. Narration. There is a moment in every twin flame journey when the energy between two souls stops reaching toward each other and starts rising together. A moment when love no longer feels like longing, but like remembering. When the silence no longer hurts, because you can feel them breathing inside your very heartbeat. This is the frequency of union energy. The merging of two divine reflections into one unified consciousness. It's not just a relationship. It's an awakening. Union energy isn't about proximity. It's not about being in the same room or even the same lifetime. It's about vibration, the merging of frequencies so harmonious that the universe itself begins to rearrange around it. When your energy and your counterpart's energy reach coherence, it's like two musical notes resonating in perfect harmony. Neither overpowers the other. They amplify one another. That's the sacred alchemy of divine union. Union doesn't begin when two people finally meet. It begins when both souls surrender to love. Not human love, but the pure, unconditional essence that flows through all creation. The kind of love that says, I see you even in silence. I love you even through distance. I honor you even in transformation. When you reach that vibration, the separation dissolves. Because your energy and your twin flame's energy are no longer opposing forces. They are mirrors of the same divine current. In union energy, the dualities that once defined you begin to integrate. The divine feminine, once wounded, once waiting, now stands in her softness and her power. She no longer chases, she magnetizes. She no longer suffers, she allows. Her heart becomes a temple of creation, open, nurturing, luminous. The divine masculine, once guarded, once running, begins to awaken to truth. He no longer hides behind fear or control. He steps into purpose, strength, and integrity. His mind becomes a sword of clarity, his actions a prayer of devotion. And as both energies balance within, union becomes not something you find, but something you become. When you merge energetically, it's not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of divine service. Because twin flame union is never just about personal fulfillment. It's about planetary evolution. Your love becomes a channel through which divine energy flows into the world. Your healing ripples outward, touching people, places, even timelines beyond your awareness. The union between two awakened souls is not merely romantic. It's sacred activism. It's heaven meeting earth through human form. Think of it like this. Before union, you are two frequencies tuning themselves individually. Each of you is learning self-love, balance, alignment. You are learning how to be a vessel clear enough for divine energy to move through. And once both vessels are purified, through surrender, healing, and faith, The universe brings them together, not to complete each other, but to complete a mission. Union energy is love with purpose. It's passion transformed into light work. When two twin flames unite energetically, their frequency doesn't just rise. It expands. They begin to awaken others by presence alone. Their words heal without effort. Their actions inspire transformation. Their energy becomes a lighthouse for those still lost in the storm of separation. You see, union isn't only personal. It's collective. Because the love that heals two souls has the power to heal many. That's why so few are called to this path. And why it feels so intense. It's not just your story. It's the evolution of consciousness moving through you. But don't mistake union for perfection. It's not a happily ever after. It's a sacred dance, one that will continue to test your alignment. You will still be asked to surrender again and again. You will still face mirrors of ego, fear, and illusion. Because the universe uses union to refine love, not to indulge attachment. The difference is, once you're in union consciousness, you no longer fight the process. You trust it. You know that every challenge is an invitation to grow deeper into love. That's what makes union divine. Turns pain into wisdom, and longing into purpose. When you reach union energy, you begin to experience love as an ecosystem, a living, breathing energy that sustains itself through balance. You no longer ask, what can I get from love? You ask, what can love express through me? Your twin flame is no longer a destination. They are a mirror reflecting the divinity already alive in you. Together, you become channels of creation, embodying the union of heaven and earth within your own human hearts. That's the purpose of this sacred connection. Union energy feels like silence that speaks, like stillness that moves, like two souls breathing the same breath even worlds apart. It's not intensity, it's serenity. Not obsession but knowing. Not possession but partnership. You begin to feel your twin flame in everything. The wind that touches your face, the song that randomly plays, the strangers who smile at you as if they know. Because when two souls unite in energy, the universe starts speaking their language back to them. Union energy also brings clarity to purpose. Once the love between you stabilizes, it naturally turns outward, toward service, creation, and expansion. You may feel called to write, to teach, to create, to heal, to bring compassion and consciousness into your community. Because love, once realized, cannot stay still. It moves. It expresses. It builds new worlds. And that's what the twin flame journey was always meant to ignite. Not just romantic reunion, but a rebirth of divine purpose. Union isn't the end of longing. It's the transformation of it. You no longer crave, you create. You no longer seek, you share. You no longer ask, where are they? You say, we are here. Because when union is achieved within, it manifests without. Effortlessly, naturally, beautifully. The two hearts become one vessel of light. And through them, love itself begins to expand the universe. Voiceover, gentle final words. Union isn't about becoming one with another. It's about realizing you were never two to begin with. When your souls merge in love, you don't lose yourself, you find the universe within yourself. Because true union is not possession, it's purpose. It's the divine remembering itself through your love. And when that remembering happens, the entire world begins to heal. If this message awakens something inside you, take a deep breath and whisper, I am one with love. I am one with purpose. Subscribe for the final chapter. Becoming the light, living in union consciousness every day. Because once you embody union energy, your mission begins not just to love, but to be love. Part 10. Becoming the light. Living in union consciousness every day. Narration. Union is not a destination you arrive at once. It's a state of being you live in, moment by moment. It's not about grand gestures, mystical reunions, or cosmic signs. It's about the quiet, consistent embodiment of love in how you speak, how you breathe, how you see the world. When you live in union consciousness, you stop searching for light outside yourself. You become it. Union consciousness isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's not about escaping your human life. It's about infusing the divine into your humanity. You still wake up, work, make tea, get tired, feel emotions. But underneath it all, there's a stillness, a knowing, a constant whisper that says, I am connected to everything, and everything is connected to me. That's the energy of living in union. Scene: the camera shows the figure lighting a candle inside a simple home. The flame burns steady, reflecting in their eyes. Union consciousness begins with awareness. It's remembering, over and over again, that you are not separate from life. That every thought you think, every emotion you hold, every action you take, is a vibration echoing through the entire field of existence. In separation consciousness, you live from fear. Will they come back? Am I enough? Why is life so hard? In union consciousness, you live from trust. Everything unfolds for my highest good. What's meant for me will always recognize me. I am not waiting for love. I am expressing it. That simple shift changes everything. When you start living as love, you realize union was never a relationship. It was a revelation. You begin to see your twin flame not just in one person, but in everyone, in every soul, every reflection of the divine. You see them in the eyes of the barista who smiles at you, in the kindness of a stranger holding the door open, in the sunset that paints the sky in colors that remind you of their energy. Because love doesn't vanish when physical form changes. It expands. You start to live with your heart open. Not just to one but to all. That's living in union consciousness. Union consciousness means you no longer chase emotions. You observe them. You no longer cling to outcomes, you trust them. You no longer see contrast as punishment. You see it as guidance. Pain still visits you, but now it becomes a teacher, not a tyrant. Loneliness still touches you, but it transforms into solitude, a space where your soul can speak. Triggers still arise, but instead of spiraling, you ask, what part of me is asking to be loved? Right now. That's the mastery of union. To remain open in the places where you once closed. Union consciousness also teaches you balance. You no longer swing between extremes of everything is spiritual or everything is ordinary. You learn that both coexist. That washing dishes can be meditation. That silence can be communication. That simply breathing can be prayer. Because when you are conscious, everything you touch becomes sacred. You realize that divinity isn't somewhere above. It's here, in the smallest acts of love. Every thought, every word, every gesture carries the vibration of your awareness. And that awareness is your light. When you live in union consciousness, you stop fighting the flow. You stop trying to control people, timelines, outcomes. You no longer say, this should not be happening. You say, this too is part of my awakening. You understand that everything, even the delays, even the separations, even the confusion, is part. Teacher. Every moment becomes sacred. Union consciousness doesn't isolate you from the world. It connects you to it more deeply. You begin to feel other people's energy not as threat, but as reflection. You become compassionate not because you try to, but because compassion becomes your default state. You forgive easily because you understand that everyone is acting from their level of awareness. You stop holding grudges because you see that resentment only poisons your vibration. You live lighter. You love softer. You move slower but with purpose. Because when you embody the light, you no longer need to force impact. Your very presence becomes healing. In union consciousness, even your twin flame journey feels different. You no longer see them as mine or the one. You see them as part of the oneness. You thank them silently for every trigger, every awakening, every lesson that guided you back to yourself. You understand that the true reunion wasn't between you and them, but between you and the divine within you. And because of that, you radiate love without resistance. You become magnetic not because you want, but because you are. Your energy, purified through surrender, begins to draw everything aligned with love toward you. Without effort, without strategy, without demand. Living in union consciousness means you no longer see separation between light and shadow. You honor both, because you know one cannot exist without the other. You stop chasing light and start being it. You stop fearing darkness and start embracing it as the womb of transformation. That's what mastery looks like. Not avoidance but integration. Not denial but understanding. And when you reach that level of peace, you realize that enlightenment isn't somewhere far away. It's right here in the way you breathe, in the way you love, in the way you forgive yourself again and again. Becoming the light doesn't mean shining so others see you. It means shining so others remember that they are light too. That's what it means to live in union consciousness. You don't need to preach or prove or persuade. You just exist in love, and your very existence becomes an invitation for others to awaken. You live gently. You listen deeply. You love endlessly. Because love is no longer something you give or receive. It's the air you breathe. It's the state of your being. It's home. Union is not a future to reach. It's a consciousness to embody. When you remember this truth, you stop waiting for miracles. Because you realize you are one. Every breath you take sends ripples of love into the collective field. Every act of kindness rebalances the energy of the world. Every time you choose peace, you bring heaven a little closer to earth. That's the mission of the awakened soul. That's the legacy of union. To live not as someone seeking light, but as light itself. If this message touched your soul, take a deep breath. Whisper, I am light. I am love. I am whole. This is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a new way of being. Subscribe and stay for the next series. Collective Healing: How Twin Flame Energy Elevates Humanity. Because when you live as light, you don't just change your story. You help the world remember its own.